Welcome to the Leafy Podcast, helping real estate investors and entrepreneurs grow. Say hello to your hosts, Jennifer Goglorick and Brian Price, founders of Leafy Legal Services, teaching you how to protect your assets, grow your business, and manage your wealth. Let's start the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leafy Podcast. Thank you so much for being with us today. Today, I have Brian and Jennifer from Leafy Legal Services on the line to be the hosts, and they have another awesome guest. So I will go ahead and hand it over to them so they can get started. So, hey, guys, how's it going?
It's going great today. Okay, so today, Brian and I, hello, Leafy Podcasters, we have a really good episode today about something we find very interesting. So for all of our entrepreneurs out there, they are real estate investors too, because you guys are entrepreneurs, we are going to have someone who is an SEO marketing expert. His newest book, Outrank, is out. He is founded his company, SEO National. He writes for Forbes. He's written for Entrepreneur Magazine, been featured in these magazines, BuzzFeed, USA Weekly, and he's helped his high-profile clients make more money in 1 month because of his SEO stuff than they have in an entire year. And he's fun too, because SEO, you just think about marketing and stats and all this stuff like that. No, he's actually going to be fun, and that's why we have him on the show. So anyway, I want everyone to give a warm welcome to Damon Burton of DamonBurton.com. Hey, Damon, how are you?
Hey,
Hello,
David.
thanks. Wouldn't it be horrible if I came on here after that wonderful intro and started talking like Ben Stein?
Yeah, but Ben Stein has like his own shtick, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to giggle when you listen to him as well. So yeah, SEO is not like the funnest thing when people think about it because they get hammered by these companies. And what's worse is you're told, okay, we can do it. And then you're still on page 10 of Google. You're not ranking, but you've managed to hack all of that and to come up with some really cool stuff. So tell me a little bit about your journey. Like, how do you even get involved with SEO being like a marketing person? Like, how did you niche out to that?
Yeah, I actually have a clear path, but first I gotta read something funny. So you mentioned the book, and then you mentioned SEO, not necessarily being funny. And so what is funny is the first line of my book says, let's be honest, a book about SEO doesn't sound like the sexiest topic. So I just get right to it.
I love it. Well, hey, we do asset protection, and generational wealth where we have to talk about people to, like, are you doing your business and your entity structuring anonymously?
Yeah.
That's not sexy either, but it's important. Yeah, but your stuff also too can help people make a lot of money, and we need to know this like right now. So
okay, let's do it. All right. So how I got into SEO, we could go back a couple different layers, but where I will start is high school. So in high school, I grew up kind of lower middle class, and so I didn't have access to computers and internet. And, I'd go to the city library and do my book reports there because I didn't have a computer. And so that kind of gave me the perspective of, hey, I should embrace these things when I have the opportunity to. And so I got into computers, learned really basic HTML in my senior year of high school, which was cool because Dreamweaver and WordPress and these design programs didn't exist back then. And so it was really great to get that one-on-one experience, because now when you use these cool tools, they don't know what you're building if it looks ugly. They just do what you tell it to do. So if you need to get in there and override it, it's really nice to have that hands-on experience. So that's kind of when I got exposed to it. And then I'll kind of skip ahead a little bit. In college, we had one of my communications classes. The teacher said, hey, let's build a website. Here's your sheet, include these requirements. And I thought, well, at the end of the semester, they're just going to wipe this out off the school server. So if I'm going to put this much time into it, why don't I build a real website? So I asked my professor, I said, can I do all this stuff on the sheet, but like make it my thing? And so I built this car enthusiast website, and that was my first domain. I still own it. There's nothing there now. I just kind of archived it. But where that kind of led to this career was this, I kind of stumbled across the statistics on the website before Google Analytics was a thing. And I saw I was getting traffic and I said, oh, that's cool. Well, how do I get more traffic? So then I said, let's make a more intentional effort to learning design. And so then I started learning design. And then as that website increased in traffic, I said, well, how do I monetize this? And then that's when I got into marketing. And then I had a couple experiment websites on the side. One that is probably a story worth visiting at some point in the discussion is I outranked ABC's The Bachelor.
No
And
way.
I just made like a website one night having beers while my wife was watching the show and she drugged me into it. And so at that point I was like, hey, I think I'm onto something. And so my original background was largely design. And then you said, how did you decide that was my niche? And so about a year and a half, 2 years into having my company, I actually made that very specific decision. I said, I don't want to be the agency owner that, at the time it was a one-man show, but I said, I don't want to run a company that says they do it all and is mediocre at all of it. And I did I had a design client that said, well, what do you know about Google? And I said, I know enough to try, but I don't feel like I know enough to charge you for it. So I don't want to work for free though either. So how about we do this? I start working for free, but we agree to a goal. And if we hit the goal, then you owe me retroactively. So that way I'm incentivized, but they're not out anything. And so we had about a 3-month goal. They got to the top of Google in like 6 weeks, this was like different days, right? SEO takes a lot more time now. But I said, okay, cool. Well, I actually enjoyed that process. Let's give that same offer to a second client. And so 13 years later, I still have those first 2 clients and worked for them. And then at that point I said, hey, I like this. This is my thing. And there we are. Now I'm SEO guy.
Cool.
Wow.
That's awesome. So how has it changed since you started to, then to now with everything that's gone happen?
It's much more quality versus quantity. So back then it was kind of like wild, wild west. Like you could do, automate a lot
Keywords,
of things.
just
like
put them all transparent. I've worked front page websites and I know I would take the keywords and I would just write them all and then I would make the text transparent.
Like
so that way it would come up. Yeah. I mean, you can't even do that anymore. Like you get in trouble.
Yeah. So like white text on white background was like early days. But so you used to be able to do things. So like one thing in part of the SEO equation is what's called a backlink. So that's when another website links to yours. That's probably one of the more clear examples of what's changed because, 10, 15 years ago, it was about quantity. And so there was programs. I'm sure the programs still exist, but they just don't have any value anymore. But you could use these programs to automate or semi-automate signing up en masse on forums and directories and just these like low quality websites just to shove a link in. And so in 2012, Google came out with an algorithm called Penguin and just killed that overnight. And so that's changed. And then, a year before that, 2011, Google came out with another algorithm called Panda, and Panda was about content. And so, before you could take and a lot of people would repurpose content or just rip it off and copy and paste it in bulk. And just whoever had the website with the most crap that said keyword would have a good chance at it. And so now after that algorithm, it would start to pay attention to, okay, who had that content first? It would pay attention to timestamps, which website's more credible. So therefore we probably believe they're the real author and these other guys stole it. And so there's been a huge shift from quantity to quality.
I like that. And I think that's a good idea too, but it just shows you the power of Google. Like I still think Google should probably be broken up. The idea that they can come in and create a program that tanks an entire industry of people that are doing it without like really warning is crazy to me, because you have all these companies that are developing programs. They have programmers, they have coders, they have this, and literally overnight, you don't have a job anymore. They've changed it all. And there's this one company that really owns the lion's share, and they've decided no. Now, it's going to happen, but this is a global scale of it. It's just the mass of how much it can happen. is just nuts to me. But
Yeah.
I do like the fact that it is quality over quantity, because we're not getting these weird, those old sites. You go there and it really is just poorly written white label articles,
Hmm.
all about, we see it. We have our own blog that we do, and we have to write original content about real estate investing, about estate planning, and we're putting out a lot of stuff. And when I know that Emmy does it too. She's very, very good. And then we can see parts of it used. We've noticed that other people have taken it. It's like really
You'll,
annoying, especially when it's your content.
you'll notice there's a term called spinning, and it's where you take content and there's programs called article spinners, which will swap out synonyms in
Yeah.
content. And so a lot of times you'll be reading a blog and you'll get the first sentence in, and then all of a sudden the second sentence you're like, wait, what? And then you'll have to go back and read it again because it's like
It
kind of
doesn't
on
make any
topic,
sense.
but it's kind of gibberish. Yeah, it's because they just run it through these spinning programs. So it's like close enough that Google will be like, okay, that's not complete gibberish. But then if an actual reader goes through there, then they're like, this makes no sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've done that with PLR articles just to get a
Mhm.
base, you can buy articles that are private license rights. They're basically white labeled, and then you can get a structure, because you're like, they give you thousands of topics. And when you have writer's burnout, sometimes that can help you. You look at that and you go, oh yeah, this is a great topic I can write about. And then you basically rewrite it all. But a lot of those are all gibberish. You're like, these are not
Mhm.
native English speakers who are doing any of it, but it's not, I didn't realize until you just said it right now, that means that it was a program. Not only are they not English native speakers,
Yeah.
they're not even people.
Yeah. I mean,
They're machines.
most of the things that you buy like that are going to be pretty worthless because like you don't know how many versions back
Right.
this was
Yeah,
sourced from.
true.
So
Yeah,
how about we talk about how to get around this?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you bring up a good point about writer's block, and so this is something I talk about a lot: is how do you come up with good content? So let's say we hate writing, we don't know where to start, and we'll just start at the very beginning. So first thing you got to figure out is, okay, what am I going to write about that will support what I want to rank for? So ideally you show up on top of Google for something you can monetize, not just something to brag about nobody searches. So where we start is look at the intent behind your audience. So a good free tool you can use is answerthepublic.com. So you go to Answer the Public, and what that site does is, how if you go to Google and you type out homes in, and then and Google says, hey, I think you want this, or here's these 5 options. So that's called autocomplete. Now, what autocomplete comes from is the historical search trends on Google. So this is Google saying, hey, you probably want one of these because a ton of other people usually continue typing this out. And so Answer the Public will go collect data like that. And then if you go to the website and punch something in like real estate, Texas, whatever, then it's going to give you this visual chart of the who, what, when, where, and why of real estate, Texas, or real estate, whatever, or homes,
Really?
whatever. And so what that is exactly what your customers are literally searching for. So instead of you guessing what to write about, go find the problems that your audience is already screaming to you that they want solved. So you can go look this up, find a topic that you can speak on, and then write about that. But the other half of the equation is, okay, I have writer's block this day, and so I can't write today. So what I recommend is map out a content calendar. So spend a couple days going through Answer the Public, looking at autocomplete, and make a list of topics that you can speak intelligently about. That way, when you have your good day, you can crank out 2 or 3 articles instead of forcing yourself to write one crappy one.
That is a really good
advice. Yeah.
Yeah, that is very good advice. I mean, we have a content calendar for what we're going to do, but you always have to go back and add things to it because we get incredible guests like you guys. And then I'm like, oh, hey, we can go and put a link, just saying, hey, if you don't remember Damon at DamonBurton.com, then remember here are some quotes from the show, and here you go. That's another thing you can do is every time you talk to someone, you can give them a pat on the back, links to them, and do some stuff as well. So how did you add $150,000 in sales in a year to your business just by sharing advice on social media? Because I really want to know that one.
Yeah, so it's probably the complete opposite of what you're expecting. It's by not selling, right?
Mhm.
So you sell by not selling. So here's what goes on. So I've always been a very moral driven person, and I'm not a salesy kind of person to begin with. In my mind, it's better to educate your lead, and then if they're the right buyer, if it's the right relationship, then it's the right relationship. And if it's not, like I'm not a big fan of the high ticket sales where they're, hammer the pain points and then make them buy. So you either have a service that's right for that person or not. And so with that being said, when I go on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever my audience is, then I just give away all the answers. So if you look at my historical posts on LinkedIn, it's, hey, here is a thing to do on SEO, and no catch, no call to action, no sign up for my newsletter, no sign up for my funnel, no link to my lead magnet. It's just like, here's the answer. So in doing that, what happens is you build trust with your audience, and then you also reinforce your expertise, and you stay top of mind. So when they are ready to buy your thing, because you got to think about it, they're going to buy that thing when they're ready. You can't force the necessity of that thing. But what you can do is be top of mind when it is the right time for them to buy that thing. And so by just giving away free value and showcasing your expertise and staying top of mind, then you're the first go-to when it's ready. So what I did is a couple of years ago, I actually totally removed, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that stuff. And when I say I removed it, I legitimately removed it, because how if you deactivate Facebook, it's really still there.
Yeah.
So my wife, she went through, and she's lucky to be at home, and so it was more her than me. But for like 3 weeks, she literally went through post delete, post delete, post delete, friend unfriend, friend unfriend, and manually went through and removed every single
Oh,
post,
wow.
every single friend, every single image. So I completely wiped it out, because I'm not I'm very open to being a public person and doing things like this and sharing expertise, but I'm very private when it comes to my actual private life. And so at that point, I wasn't really using social proof and social media for business. And so I said, well, if I'm not using it for that, then let's just get rid of it and stop wasting time. And so then a couple months later, I said, I'm missing opportunities, and not that I took advantage of them before, but not using it at all kind of brought that to light. And so I said, well, why don't I fire these back up, but bring all my expertise that I have, and just give away these answers, and then build up an audience. And so what I would advise the listeners to do is figure out what your voice is online. So like for me, I'm very comfortable talking about just about anything. Before we hit record, we joked. I said, sounds like a test, give me rapid fire questions, whatever. I'm okay with that. But what I'm not okay with is, I'm very open to showcasing my affection for my wife and kids, but you will not see any pictures of them on my Facebook. So for me, I had to figure out, okay, what's my voice? What am I comfortable talking about? But what's my hard line? And you kind of have to trip over yourself a little bit to figure out what that is. So where I would say for the listeners to start is get on there, start filling out like what you comfortable showcasing your expertise is, what things you can showcase of your personal life to make you relatable, but figure out what your hard line is, and then be vulnerable, be human, be the person that shows the quirky things, give away the answers, and then that's going to attract your ideal buyers. It's going to bring down the sales walls because they know you from all your relatable stories. And then when the time has come for them to buy the thing, and you're the person that has the thing, then they're just going to come to you and say, here's my money.
Yeah. What you're saying, it's a lot less stress than the traditional, okay, you need to build these funnels and then you've got to have them click here. I mean, we've got funnels too, it's an industry standard. We have a book that we give away, and we do all this stuff like that. But I guess there is this backlash that would say, yeah, but if you do it his way, it's going to take years. So how are you going to make money before that happens? But what you're saying is that it won't take years and years of building that up, or is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. And obviously, industries are going to vary, audiences are going to vary. But I literally went from 700. So LinkedIn is where I mostly play. I went from 700, connections that were gathered over 10 years of me not using LinkedIn, and it was just gathering dust within I did that 150 grand within 11 months of firing it up.
Nice. So
Wow.
when you are sharing on LinkedIn or social media, are you doing video? Are you doing audio, or just like blog posts or?
It's a mix. Like I'll do videos, I'll do largely text. So
Mhm,
here's what's important for listeners to understand is you got to go where your audience is. So
mhm.
LinkedIn is where my audience. What's really interesting about my audience is I seem to attract the initial connection on LinkedIn, and then it like migrates over to Facebook, and that's where I convert them. And
Mhm.
so I'm not on Instagram. I mean, I have an Instagram, but it's just like my VAs take care of it, and they repurpose
Yeah.
conversations like this, and it's more for
Mhm.
just social proof. But I'm probably never going to convert somebody on Instagram. I've done 0 TikTok videos, and I plan on doing 0 more next week because my audience isn't there, and even if they were, like that's not me. So that's a good example of the figure out what your voice is. For
Right.
me, even if my audience was on TikTok, I don't want to be the dancing SEO guy.
Mhm.
So figure out where your audience is and then focus on just one platform and be really killer at that. And then you can take some of what you learned and maybe move it to a second one, but don't feel like you need
Right.
to be on all of them. I mean, my Instagram, my Twitter, that's just completely automated for the most part.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, we talk about, a lot of people want to get higher and, ranked on Google and such. And a lot of people are doing like paid
Yeah.
ads and ads are getting more and more expensive. And, what's kind of your advice on how does someone, rank higher in Google or any kind of search engine type?
Yeah, so I'm not one that says paid ads are the bad guy.
Hmm.
If they're driving a return, then great. Like it's not a zero-sum game where you only do paid
Right.
ads, you only do SEO.
Hmm.
Um, but so here's the pros and cons of all of the above. So the nice thing about paid ads is they're relatively quick. You can turn it on within a day or two and have ads running. But the bigger downside you touched on is that there's always a budget associated with them. And
Hmm.
so if you need to tighten your budget, then you're going to decrease your leads. Or if you need to increase your leads, then you have to spend more.
Hmm.
So the opposite is said about SEO. The only downside to SEO is that it takes time. And the reason why it takes time is because, like what we touched on, you got to figure out what you're going to write about, what you're going to focus on. And you actually have
Hmm.
to produce the content, distribute it, wait for Google to find it. So there's just logistics behind why that takes time. But once it kicks in, you own your website. You don't own Google ads. You don't own Facebook ads. So you're just building up their portfolio. And then what happens when in 5 years, the next replacement of Facebook as Facebook replaced MySpace as MySpace replaced Friendster? Like what happens when that platform's gone? Then you got to start all over rebuilding that audience.
Hmm.
So, if you have more money than time, then sometimes it makes sense to start with paid ads if you
Hmm.
know what you can convert on. But if you have more time than money, then you want to take it on, then start focusing on your content on your website. Or if you have money and have patience, then SEO tends to have the bigger return in the long run.
Right. Okay. That's great to know. When it comes to like the basics of someone to do on their website for SEO, do you have kind of like the very basic things people should do? If they're just starting, they really want to start, getting people there. Are there certain things that you need to do first, second, third to do that?
Yeah, you can kind of abbreviate SEO into 2 buckets. So bucket number 1 is what's called on-page optimization. Bucket number 2
Hmm.
is what's called off-page optimization. So bucket number 1 is your website quick? Is it mobile friendly? Does it have a good user experience? Is it easy to navigate? Bucket number 2 is external credibility. So do you have other people talking about you, linking to you? Do you show up in the news?
Hmm.
So where, most of your gains and rankings and visibility come from that second bucket, but that bucket won't kick in until you have a solid foundation of bucket number 1. So what you do is make sure you have a quick page load. A good, Google has a page speed test called Page Speed Insights that will tell you kind of what's good and bad. Another one that I like to use is gtmetrix.com, Metrix. That one's a little more technical though,
Okay.
but if you understand some of the technical terms, it gives you very specific answers as to what to fix, much more
Hmm.
specific than Google's tool. So make sure your website loads quickly, make sure it's mobile friendly, get all that stuff knocked out, and don't overcomplicate the design. More often than not, the most simplistic design performs way better than the most visually stunning. So don't
Hmm.
feel like you have to have this super artistic website. Instead, make a functional website with clean white space, good call to action, focus on your content, and then ideally you spend enough time creating unique content like we talked about, that it kind of attracts that second bucket, which is those external links and people sharing your content and talking about it.
Okay.
Well, guys, we have been talking to Damon Burton. I feel like we're getting so much value with this. You can visit Damon too at damonburton.com or SEOnational.com, or you can go and buy his new book, Outrank. But I wanted to find out, like, if you are just overwhelmed listening to you, or you're like, I've got a site and I've had it for 10 years and I've thrown everything against the wall and I'm not doing anything with it, but I have stuff, right? And I feel like I have an okay voice, like I think most businesses feel like they're okay. They're just hitting this wall and they don't know what the wall is. So what do you do with that? What do you, if they're just like, I don't even know what I don't know, here's all my stuff, what do I do now? Or do you help people with that?
Well, usually by the time somebody comes and engages with me and my team, they're at the point where they're the person I mentioned earlier where they're like, just take my money, Damon. So, the way that we work most effective is being all inclusive. So we come in and we say, okay, we're going to audit the website, fix all those bucket number one things, make it load quicker, make it mobile friendly. Then while we're doing that, another part of my team running parallel to that starts doing the content research and analyzing the competitors. So ideally, by the time we're done fixing things, we're ready to rock and roll with the credibility things. So we do it all, because the problem we run into when we don't do it all is business owners and entrepreneurs are busy being business owners and entrepreneurs. So they bottleneck their own progress. So if you're going to engage with us, we're going to do the whole thing.
Got it.
Yeah, that's a lot easier too. Don't go alone, let experts handle it, because I got to tell you can get bogged down. Like when you talked about design or this, it is very easy for a business owner just to get onto a tangent and be like, I want to make it perfect. And then all these other things they probably should be spending their time on rather than, design, get put to the wayside, and then they're not making any money or other things. So yeah.
You want to know how empathetic to that I am is, so you guys have heard the story of the shoemaker's son where, everybody in the village has nice shoes except the shoemaker's son because the shoemaker's busy helping the village. That's me. Like, if you want to see a horrible website, go look at SEOnational.com. Because like when I look at it and I'm tasking my designers, I'm like, no, I want that thing a little more perfect. So, out of our 13-year history, I think I've redesigned it maybe like 3 times, and all 3 times we're like, I give up. Let's go back to client work.
It's weird. Like you're right. Like the maid who goes home and the house is a mess because they're just not going to clean it after cleaning other people's houses all day long. Well, Damon, it's just been absolutely great to have you on the show. This has been a blast, and I feel like we've learned so much. And I think that this actually is a relief. This is a little bit easier because I think too many people, when it comes to SEO, they just are getting hit by salespeople after salespeople. If anyone's on LinkedIn, every single day, you're going to get 1 or 2 people saying they're going to fix your SEO, and it just gets overwhelming after time. So anyway, we've been talking to Damon Burton, damonburton.com or SEOnational.com, and it's time to end the show. So Tammy's going to tell you how you can get other ways to get in touch with Damon and take us away.
All right. Yeah. Thank you again, Damon, for being on with us. And thank you, Jennifer and Brian, for hosting. And like Jennifer said, you will be able to find all of Damon's links in our show notes for this episode. And if you are looking for us, we are on all of the podcast platforms and also on social media at Leafy Legal. And if you have a question or you have a recommendation for a guest, please email me, Tammy, Tammy, at leafylegalservices.com. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Attention real estate investors and entrepreneurs. Did you know that real estate investors are a primary target for lawsuits? According to the National Survey of the Court data, 25% of Americans risk being sued in their lifetime. However, if you are a real estate investor, you have a 95% chance of being sued in the next 20 years. Leafy Legal Services helps you protect your assets and strategically grow your business and wealth. Leafy Legal Services are experts at the Series LLC and Delaware statutory trust. Two of the newest and most ideal legal structures for real estate investors. Leafy Legal Services have the most personalized and affordable solutions for setting up LLCs. Property owners are always at risk when it comes to their assets. Anonymity is so important. If you own just a rental house and you own your home, you have to protect yourself and your properties from any potential legal issues. Leafy Legal Services have the right solutions to make sure you are happy and feel secure. They offer cost-effective documentation that suits their clients' needs. For a free consultation and ebook, visit leafylegalservices.com. They are waiting to hear from you. leafylegalservices.com.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Don't wait. Take action now. LeafyLegalServices.com. Protect your assets, grow your business, and manage your wealth.